Hello again. Well, let's continue with the hand expression series. As hands are, I would say, troubling. It can be big trouble with hands a lot of times. They're not trouble in the hands, but can be a lot of trouble by not knowing how to deal with hands. So let's see with that also difficult position of this particular hand here, which is okay. Let's start with the first line, which would be the top line of the wrist. Then the wrist continues there. Then you have the whole outline of the hand, and I would try and wrap it up. Well, inverted commas, wrap it up like this. For the hand there, you've got the toes, you've got the finger, the index finger here, and a general line which will encompass the whole hand expression. And then you have another line here, and then another line on inwards here, which is basically where the palm meets the fingers here. And this is within the palm. I do have the shadow here. Shadow. And that is pretty much a dark area. Or in shadow area, it's not really dark, but it's in shadow of here. This is the shadowy part of the inside of the palm. Now, that width, I'm just checking it now, and I can see that that width is a little bit overstated, so I can come back and trim it down here, and then I can do the shadow of the hand here, basically, or the shadow of the background, because it's a hand which is being pictured like this, or is being taken a photograph like that. Yeah, something like this. And so that shadow here is the shadow inside here, inside palm, and that line was the line of fingers, where the fingers meet the palm, and then you have the fingers there, and then you have the wrist. The wrist is moving in that direction, but I cannot do that movement there because I need to be, the wrist needs to go on the other side, and I cannot go on that side beyond the table there. Okay. Now, you have the index finger, which I've done that line, which I think it should stop there, but from what I see, I can extend that line down here and make the fingers a little bit longer. There. Then you have the index finger here, and the middle finger here. And the two last fingers, the ring finger and the little finger, are clustered together. And you have the small finger here and the ring finger here. And the shadow, as I said, of the inside of the palm. Okay, now that's the thumb, and the thumb's got the, as the thumb goes, kind of outwards a little bit. Most of the time, the thumb always, on any expression of the hand, the thumb always, it doesn't cluster together with the other fingers, so it's always moving kind of in its own way. and then you have here, that's where the hand actually stops, and then you have the wrist with joins that joins the wrist. Now, it doesn't, it stops in the meaning that it's not cut from the wrist, but the wrist is here and the hand is here, there. And I can be a little bit more careful now with those lines because I've gone a bit too dark with the lines, and here as well. Now inside here I can do a little bit of a middle tone, a dark middle tone, and this is that area here is where the thumb joins the rest of the inside of the palm. And you have the inside of the palm. And then you have the index finger. And as I said, I've dropped that line which was here at the beginning, and I think that's more appropriate because that shows more of a normal hand. If I had the line there, that would be too narrow, or too short, sorry, too short. So coming down here, that's a grown-up hand, not a little child's hand. And this area is the cast shadow of the index finger onto the middle finger. Then you have a darker line here, or a shadow here. And that cast shadow is over, that cast shadow of the thumb, it's over the index finger. So you've got the cast shadow over the index finger here. And inside the palm, we do have lots of middle tones here. Different middle tones, because you have all the flesh tones and the wrinkles inside the palm. So that is actually this is what I'm trying to interpret here with the middle tones here. Okay, and here we have, as I said, the small finger and a little bit of shadow here. Now, as mentioned before, it's a very difficult position of the hand to deal with. But if we do not have those skills and dealt before we have something of that sort coming in onto our way once you start drawing and painting, then it will be a lot harder. So it's best to try and check it for ourselves and have a plan, basically, if something like this or that position happens. So that's why it's important to have different positions of the hand being worked on and dealt with before we actually move to live models or even photographs. Doesn't have to be a live model. So we're working on particular hand positions, feet position, mouth, different expression of the mouth, which I haven't done so far, which we will do. Trying to use as little putty rubber as possible here. I'm going to sort them by middle tones and dark shadows before I use the putty rubber. Now all that area is inside the palm, so it cannot be bright. Keep in mind that that area here cannot be bright. Just inside the palm, so it doesn't take the direct, it's not illuminated by the light directly, it's an indirect light. And this is the background shadow, which I can come now, and by doing that, instead of working with lines or darken the lights, I can actually darken the background, and that will create me the line that I need, the outline, if you like. And that's the index finger here, here, and the middle tone here, middle tone throughout the length of the index finger. There we go. And middle tone here, there, a middle tone on the middle finger as well. There we go. And we've got the pinky, or the small finger here. And now that nail here is correct where it is, but I've been very generous and I've given a huge nail. Doesn't need to be as big as that. There we are. And a darker tone, or middle tone here, and some highlight. Here, I have the highlight here. I'm running out of fingers now, of clean fingers to use as putty ropes. Now see that here, as I'm checking it now, that's a little bit too chunky. So cut it or restrict it here, and move the pinky a little bit further down, and do the palm a little bit darker than what it appears to be. And this is these are all the inside of the hand, all these middle tones and wrinkles which are inside here of the palm and hand. And they also are important because they move the hand, they create the turn of the wrist, which is going away. There. Inside, that's all the wrist is just moving away. The way. So that illustrates the movement, the outwards movement of the wrist. And I can come down now and do some dark middle tones here. Here we are. And loose or soften all these lines that I've done here. And I can also come and do some middle tones here on the main, on the finger, which is the main figure here, or the main protagonist here. Well, I'm choosing that to be my the main protagonist, which is that finger here, or could be that one, depending on where I put more focus on. And that is by highlighting or keeping it in dark. highlighting this finger or that finger, depending on. So that's something that we need to talk about later. On to what's the theme, what's the main, where are you going to put more attention? Onto this finger. That means that you put darker lines, outlines on the index finger, or you can highlight the middle finger. So that's something that we need, or I decide, or you decide on your drawings. Where's the focus, or where will be the focus of the viewer? Or it doesn't have to be anywhere. You can just, it could be a descriptive drawing. But if you want to make it more of an artistic drawing, you, as an artist, decide which finger to give them darker or soft, either darker or softer lines. And that will highlight one particular area of the hand or a particular finger. That's something that we decide. And because I said it from the beginning, as in, let's put on the middle, the index finger, make that the protagonist of the whole. So give it a little bit more. I haven't spoken a lot about this, the theme. What's the theme here? Or what is the most important thing here on that hand? Could be that finger or the whole hand as a hand. That's more in painting. In painting, it depends on which or where are you putting more attention on the paintings, or more on brighter lines or brighter colors. But it also applies into drawings. So where you're putting more details and where you're leaving out without details, which basically moves and blends with the background. And you have the little nail here. Sorry about that. Little nail. Then you have the ring finger here. Middle finger here. There we are. You have now, it's a clear distinction, the light area and the shadow area. And that index finger, sorry, middle finger, I can place it into a little bit of a darker tone. Darker tone like there. Now, I need to come back and recreate or darken that shadow here. So I brighten it a lot. So that will have to come back. And, as mentioned before, I can give more attention to the index finger here. That pops out a lot more, but as I've chosen, or I've spoken earlier on, let's give the index finger the most attention. So that will make it pop out. By what will make it pop out? The lines, the dark lines. and a dark background. We cannot see the nail because the nail is beyond or under the finger, but I can actually, there's a little indication about the nail here. Yes, there is. And come heavily on the shadow here. There. See, that indicates that shadow there is now taking all the attention, or it's guiding the eye where to see, because it's the darkest part. So that makes the index finger the theme here. Of course you can see the other fingers, but that's taken the most attention by the shadows, and the viewer looks at this a lot more. So this is something that, as I said earlier, we choose which one or where to give more attention. And we are the ones who decide which finger, or to make a theme out of it, or to make the center of attention. Okay. Well, stop for a while, have a coffee, and come back. Okay. So let's go back and get some more darks introduced here. And it's the pinky which I'm actually putting a little bit more attention here, because that's the last finger there. And that could go and merge with the background a little bit more. Keep that light area here. And softly introduce those shadows here. That's a little bit chunky, so you see, you can slowly see where things can improve and where not. So that's a bit chunky, that ring finger. So I can give it a little bit of a darker tone all around. And reduce it in size by doing this. Here, a little bit of a darker tone here. And here I can keep that part of the palm of the hand slightly lighter, which is that part here, and put the shadows, or place the shadows back darker, which are actually the cast shadows. So this is the fleshy part, that's the fleshy part of the palm, the inside of the palm, that bit, and that creates a cast shadow here. So that area is actually slightly lighter, which is this area here. Bring back those darks. Darker tone values. And this is where it goes wrong, because I've gone too deep with the ring finger. So I need to cut that and create more palm here. So I need to cut that in size, in length. This. Because that bit, which is the inside of the palm, where it meets the ring finger here, reduced it in size. It was too far down. The palm was too short. So reduce that in size and bring it down. And bring that line. Hello? And go back again. Now, as I've noticed that I've gone a little bit wider than I should have gone here. So let's trim the palm, give it a darker tone value, especially on this side of the palm here. That's better. So it's a bit thinner, and it's more in tune with what I see here on the original. And I can put the finger a little bit further out, although the last finger, the pinky, it's inside the palm here, but now that I've trimmed it, I can push it more on the inside here, there. It still makes sense. Then you have the nail, the thumbnail. And then here we've got the finger here turns upwards, and the ring finger with the thumbnail here. And a little bit darker here, darker. That's it. And slightly darker this area here. But as I've said earlier on, instead of darkening everywhere, then I will place the attention of the viewer everywhere. So I'm going to keep this area slightly darker, but not too dark, not as dark as that. And the middle finger can be merged with the background here. We can all identify where it is, what it's doing, but merge it onto the background here. And this is how you keep, or you place more attention to the main character, which is the index finger. As mentioned previously, you can put attention to the middle finger instead of the ring finger, index finger, but that's something that you need to choose which finger would be your main character. So you are the one who would decide which finger is the main role, which plays the theme. That's the word, the theme. What finger is the theme? And darkening all that is all good to darken that, because that's how you will get the contrast going. A little bit darker here, which the turn, it's the turn of that bit of your palm, the fleshy bit. A little bit darker here, a bit of accentuation here, and the cast shadow. So this is the fleshy bit, the muscle bit, and this one here is the cast shadow of that onto the palm of your hand. Slightly less dark from what I've actually done, and now I'll do all those changes with a quick motion video. I'll do those changes, and because these are very technical issues that so you'll see it in very quick motion videos. Okay.